Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Jerusalem categorically rejects UN probe which suggests Israel has been committing genocide in Gaza since October 2023, continues its Gaza offensive. Roads washed away in Uttarakhand cloudburst, flash floods devastate Himachal Pradesh. Prime Minister Modi assures all possible assistance. And Bangladesh and Afghanistan set for a high-stake clash at the Asia Cup in Abu Dhabi. A United Nations Commission of Inquiry concluded its probe on Tuesday on Israel actions in Gaza, blaming Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other top officials for incitement. The UN report cites examples of the scale of the killings, aid blockages and forced displacement and the destruction of a fertility clinic to back up its genocide finding. This adds its voice to rights groups and others who have reached the same conclusion. Israel immediately said that it categorically rejected the report, with the Foreign Ministry describing it as distorted and false, calling for immediate abolition of this commission of inquiry. Israeli ambassador to the UN in Geneva has called the report scandalous and fake, saying it had been authored by Hamas proxies.
Israel categorically rejects the libelous rant published today by this Commission of Inquiry. It spreads the malicious genocide narrative. The report diverges from the mandate of the Commission, yet again stressing their biased analysis. It has systematically dismissed Hamas's atrocities. Throughout the 72 pages of this paper that the COI presented, the COI promotes a narrative serving Hamas and its supporters in attempting to delegitimize and demonize the State of Israel.
Further, United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk has condemned Israel's ground assault on Gaza City as utterly unacceptable, demanding an end to the carnage and warning of growing evidence of genocide in the Palestinian territory.
It's absolutely clear that this carnage must stop, and it has to stop at once. I can only think of what it means for women, for malnourished children, for people with disabilities if they are again attacked in this way. And I have to say, the only response to this is stop the carnage. It's also important. The whole world screams for peace. Palestinians, Israelis scream for peace. Everyone wants an end to this. And what we see is a further escalation, which is totally and utterly unacceptable.
Sweden on Tuesday called on its European Union partners to increase pressure on Tel Aviv after a UN Commission of Inquiry concluded that Israel has committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza.
As regards today's news about the attack on Gaza City, we from the Swedish side are extremely worried, and we have been very clear from the very beginning when these plans were presented that any change by force of territory would be a breach of international law. And we are extremely worried about the situation in Gaza, and we mean that we need to put more pressure on the Israeli government to let humanitarian aid in, but also on Hamas.
Israel unleashed a long-threatened ground assault on Gaza City on Tuesday, declaring that Gaza is burning. An Israeli Defense Forces official said that ground troops were moving deeper into the enclave's main city and that the number of soldiers would rise in the coming days to confront up to 3,000 Hamas combatants the IDF believes are still in the city. In launching the assault, Israel's government defied European leaders, threatening sanctions and warnings from even some of Israel's own military commanders that it could be a costly mistake. But Washington offered its apparent blessing, conveyed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Meanwhile, Israel military has issued evacuation orders for Yemen's Hodeidah port, saying that it will attack it in the coming hours. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Doha on Tuesday. This came after Israel's attack on Hamas political leaders in Qatar last week drew widespread condemnation. Rubio called for Qatar to continue its role as a mediator between Israel and Hamas to reach a ceasefire in the Gaza war, saying that there was a very short window of time in which a deal could happen. Rubio was pessimistic about a ceasefire deal, but said Qatar was in a unique position to help. Qatar and the United States are on the verge of finalizing an enhanced defense cooperation agreement, Rubio said on Tuesday. Later, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio departed for London after a brief stop in Doha. On to the Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russia unleashed a fresh wave of strikes across Ukraine. In Zaporizhia, a deadly barrage of rockets early Tuesday killed a 41-year-old man, injured at least 18 others, and set off multiple fires. Authorities say 10 apartment blocks and a dozen homes were damaged in the assault. Meanwhile, Moscow claims that its drones hit a gas distribution hub in Ukraine's Sumy region, a facility it alleges was being used by military units. And in Kharkiv, another Russian drone strike left at least 4 people wounded after it slammed into a building. Meanwhile, NATO launched a new military mission on Friday called Eastern Sentry to protect Europe's east after Russian drones crossed into Polish airspace last week. Latvia's President Edgars Rinkēvičs commented on the issue in a press conference.
What happened last week is something that I would say, for me, is very difficult to believe was accidental. If you have 19 plus drones flying into Poland, then, as we discussed actually with President Stubb, there can be a couple of explanations: intentional, incompetence, or both. And all of 3 options are scary, frankly.
Still with Europe, German automakers made a splash at the International Motor Show in Munich last week. But the event is over today and market realities are back. Up first, new information on the EU policy for the sector. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now. Lars, thank you for being with us. What are you hearing out of Brussels?
Thanks for having me. Well, after a really good week in Munich with lots of optimism and positive feedback on some of the new models, I'm not sure how excited German automakers are about how the new week now started. They did hope for a long time that despite all their efforts to focus much more on electric vehicles, that the European Union would give them a bit more time to enjoy and make money on the market for combustion engine cars. Now, one should know the EU has said for a while that combustion engine cars won't be allowed to be sold anymore after 2035. Too early for such a radical change of policy is what the automakers said. BMW boss Oliver Zipse said this policy would threaten the entire industry. Mercedes boss Ola Källenius said the policy idea needs a reality check. Well, it seems it's the auto bosses who now got a reality check. The EU, under leadership of EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, has now confirmed plans to stick to 2035, saying that entirely getting out of gas and diesel-powered cars by then is actually within reach and feasible.
So what are the next steps, Lars, for the EU and car makers to get to their goal?
Well, to go all in for the EU, that means at least that's what we're hearing, not only to make policy, but to invest in the electric vehicle future. After all, automakers are not the only ones that have to make adjustments. Europe needs better charging infrastructure. It needs better access to batteries, which means the EU wants to invest a lot more in R&D, in battery cell technology. Also, they want to create incentives for auto companies to develop cheaper and smaller electric vehicles. That's a sector that needs some work, especially in overcrowded cities that already see way too much traffic. It would be helpful if more people would switch to some kind of city car, maybe even two-seaters. So we're talking about some cultural change too in a country or in a world where for many people a big car is something desirable. Anyway, it's clear that it will take a lot of work to make the big switch by 2035, but at least the EU at this point seems entirely committed.
Thanks, Lars, for those updates. Lars Holter joining me from DW Berlin. On to the US now. President Donald Trump sued the New York Times, 4 of its reporters, and publisher Penguin Random House for at least $15 billion, claiming defamation and libel and citing reputational damage. A Florida court filing has showed. Trump's suit cites a series of New York Times articles, one an editorial prior to the 2024 presidential election, which said that he was unfit for office, and a 2024 book published by Penguin titled Lucky Loser: How Donald Trump Squandered His Father's Fortune and Created the Illusion of Success. The publications have harmed Trump's business and personal reputation, thereby causing massive economic damage to his brand value and significant damage to his future financial prospects, Trump's lawyers said in the filing. In his post, Trump accused the paper of lying about him, his family and businesses, as well as Republican-led movements and ideologies such as the America First movement and Make America Great Again MAGA campaign. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Officials from Thailand and Cambodia met in the Thai border province of Sai Keo on Tuesday to discuss cooperation in tackling tech-related crimes, including widespread scam operations. A prominent temple in Pantum Thani in Thailand is facing police investigation after a lawyer for a Thai woman based in Germany submitted new financial evidence related to a 12.2 million baht illegal money transfer case. And Kigali residents expressed excitement as the Rwandan capital prepared to host one of the premier events on the cycling calendar, the Union Cyclist International Road World Championships. This event is set to take place for the first time in Africa from September 21st to 28th. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on this show. US tech giant Google sets out $6.8 billion investment into Britain ahead of Donald Trump's state visit to the UK. India and the US re-engage in bilateral trade talks in New Delhi as America's trade representative Brendan Lynch reached the national capital Monday night.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we decode HAL's bold gamble. Can the Sitara trainer transform into a combat fighter? We explain the Great Nicobar Project, India's mega push at the Malacca Gateway. We reveal STAR, the supersonic target shaping India's missile mastery. We analyze the B-21 Raider, America's futuristic 6th-gen stealth bomber. Stay tuned for more updates this Wednesday at 8 PM IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. The US tech giant Google said on Tuesday that it would make $6.8 billion in new investments into Britain ahead of US President Donald Trump's state visit to the UK. Google also announced the opening of a new data center close to London designed to help meet growing demand for its AI-powered services like Google Cloud, Search, Maps and Workspace. The announcement is being seen as a boost for British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour government, which is hoping to attract private investment to grow a sluggish economy and regain momentum in national opinion polls. India and the US have reinitiated bilateral trade talks in New Delhi following the late Monday night arrival of US Assistant Trade Representative Brendan Lynch. He is holding a meeting with India's chief trade negotiator, Rajesh Agrawal, who is also Special Secretary in the Department of Commerce. The discussions aim to advance the Bilateral Trade Agreement, or BTA, launched in March 2025. Focused on resolving US tariffs on Indian goods and boosting trade in various sectors, including services and manufacturing, the negotiators are targeting a first phase deal by November. In the meeting today, both countries would try to make a basic framework of easing out tariffs imposed on each other's goods and services. India's merchandise trade deficit narrowed to $26.49 billion in August 2025, down from $27.35 billion in July, showing improvement in the country's external trade balance. According to data released by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, August witnessed a 10.1% decline in imports to $61.59 billion compared to the previous year, while exports increased by 6.7% to $35.1 billion. India's total exports during April to August 2025 is estimated at $349.35 billion, registering a positive growth of 6.18%. Total imports during April to August this year is estimated at $390.78 billion, registering a growth of 2.49%. Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ram Ghulam of Mauritius called on President of India Draupadi Murmu at the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Tuesday. Both leaders agreed that the relations between the two countries are unique, rooted in shared history, language, culture and values. The President expressed confidence that with the vast leadership experience of Prime Minister Ram Ghulam, India-Mauritius long-standing bilateral ties will further strengthen in the times to come. Mauritius Prime Minister also visited the new Parliament building in New Delhi. He also paid tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat and also paid a visit to Sadaiv Atal, the memorial of Bharat Ratna and former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Earlier, Prime Minister Ram Ghulam also met the 15th Vice President of India, C.P. Radhakrishnan, at the Vice President's enclave. India's Culture and Tourism Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat announced that over 1,300 gifts received by Prime Minister Narendra Modi will go under the hammer from Tuesday in an online auction at pmmementos.gov.in. Addressing the 7th edition of the Prime Minister's Mementos e-auction in New Delhi, Shekhawat said that the collection includes paintings, artifacts, sculptures, idols and sports memorabilia. The proceeds from the auction will fund key government initiative Namami Gange mission. The minister also revealed that the previous edition of the auction had raised over 50 crore rupees for developmental efforts. In Himachal Pradesh, extremely heavy spell of rain in the capital Shimla and surrounding areas has put life completely out of gear in the capital city. Heavy overnight rain triggered floods and landslides in and around Cart Road, the traffic artery of Shimla. Many vehicles, including buses, were swept away and shops were damaged. In southwestern Bilaspur's Ghumarvi subdivision, the Sidkhad River was flowing at its highest level today. Authorities continue to monitor the situation. In Dharamshala, a landslide blocked the Dharamshala-Kangra National Highway 503. Restorations are underway for the same. While in Uttarakhand, the weather department has issued a warning for heavy to very heavy rainfall in the 7 districts for today. In view of the heavy downpour, schools will remain closed in Nainital, Dehradun, Chamoli and other districts. Continuous rain in the region halted Kedarnath highway after a boulder crashed down amid the rain fury in Rudraprayag. Due to heavy rainfall, cloudburst occurred in Karligad Sahasradhara at the night. Rescue and relief operation of district administration continues. The administration has shifted the affected people to safer areas. In Uttarakhand's Dehradun, the road near Tons River Bridge got damaged and washed away due to heavy rains in the region. Talking of Uttarakhand's Rishikesh town, the water level of the Chandrabhaga river has risen significantly, raising concerns among locals and authorities. Union Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the second National Conference of Heads of Anti-Narcotics Task Force in New Delhi on Tuesday. Themed United Resolve, Shared Responsibility, the conference is being organized by Narcotics Control Bureau. The two-day conference also serves as a strategic platform to reinforce Prime Minister Modi's commitment to a drug-free India and to formulate a roadmap to achieve this goal. Addressing the opening session, Home Minister Amit Shah said that for a developed India, Viksit Bharat, we need to protect our youth from the scourge of drugs.
ऐसा भारत जो हर क्षेत्र में समूचे विश्व में सर्वप्रथम होगा, ऐसा भारत जो पूर्णतः विकसित होगा, ऐसा भारत जिसकी सुरक्षा की दीवारें इतनी अभेद होगी कि जिसको लांघने की कोई कल्पना ही न कर सके। अगर ऐसे भारत की रचना करनी है तो हमारी युवा पीढ़ी को ड्रग के दूषण से बचाना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि किसी भी महान राज्य की संकल्पना, इसकी नींव उस देश की युवा पीढ़ी होती है।
On to sports news now. India's woman batter Smriti Mandhana reclaimed her #1 spot in the latest ICC One-Day International Rankings released on Tuesday. Mandhana overtook England skipper Nat Skeever-Brunt at the top of the rankings on the back of her half-century against Australia in the opening match in New Chandigarh. The innings helped Mandhana gain 7 rating points and move 4 points ahead of her England counterpart. The Indian vice-captain had held the #1 spot in 2019 and also earlier this year. The top spot will boost Mandhana's confidence ahead of the World Cup, which starts on 30th of September. And talking of Asia Cup, Bangladesh and Afghanistan are set for a high-stake clash at the Asia Cup in Abu Dhabi for a Super 4 slot on Tuesday. For Bangladesh, it's a must-win game. They opened with a victory over Hong Kong, but were handed a heavy defeat by Sri Lanka, which also hit their net run rate. Even if the Tigers beat Afghanistan, their qualification isn't guaranteed. Should Afghanistan later upset Sri Lanka on September 18th, all 3 teams would end on 4 points, with net run rate deciding who goes through. Meanwhile, Afghanistan would want to qualify for the next stage early on. A win against Bangladesh would book their place in the Super 4 and lift them to the top of the group, sparing them a nervous wait for the final group game. Updates from the ongoing World Athletics Championship in Tokyo. New Zealand's Geordie Beamish claimed a stunning world gold in the 3,000-meter steeplechase on Monday, defeating a shocked Soufiane El Bakkali on the line and denying the Moroccan a 5th successive global title. Twice Olympic and world champion El Bakkali seemed on course for the hat-trick when he hit the front at the bell, and after surging clear, seemed to think that he had it in the bag. However, Beamish, famed for his late kick, pushed on to snatch it on the line in 8 minutes, 33.88 seconds. Jamaica's Oblique Seville scotched his way to the world 100 meters gold in a personal best of 9.77 seconds, leading a Jamaican 1-2 ahead of Olympic silver medalist Shane Thompson, who finished second. Defending champion Noah Lyles took bronze in the season's best of 9.89 seconds as the US failed to take the title for the first time since 2015 when Usain Bolt won the last of his titles. And in some sad news just coming in, actor Robert Redford, a Hollywood screen legend turned director, producer and influential supporter of independent films, died on Tuesday at the age of 89. Once dismissed as just another California blonde, Redford's charm and craggy good looks made him one of the industry's most bankable leading men for half a century and one of the world's most recognizable and best-loved movie stars. Redford starred in Out of Africa, The Candidate and All the President's Men, among other iconic films. And before we go, let's take you to Papua New Guinea, that is marking its 50 years of independence from Australia on Tuesday. Fireworks and a drone show ended the day of celebration. Britain's Prince Edward was in attendance at the 50th Independence Day celebrations of Papua New Guinea. Take a look. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.